actually joined out here in this demonstration by the Sherman tank you can see running behind it. This M4A1 Sherman tank has a 10 hull, 2 30 caliber machine guns, one mounted in the turret, one mounted down in the hull, and 75mm main gun. This is the oldest running Sherman, definitely in private hand. I think there is possibly one other one. It's an older model that had the 2 machine guns mounted in front. I don't know if it runs. This is the oldest runner. This is the oldest runner as far as I know. And this is a stock M4A1, just like the Brits and the US used in 1941, 1942. So while they're out here making their way over, it looks like we've got a number of gentlemen in camouflage helmet covers there. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Williams. Gunny, it's all yours.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody doing this afternoon? Outstanding. Outstanding. I'm going to start Williams, the Director of Operations for 24 Consulting Companies with 4 projects program. And the program you're going to see today is going to be talking about technology. When I talk about this morning, those of you who heard me talk this morning with flamethrower, one of the things I want you to do as we go into this demonstration is to use a tool that we've been using in the military for the last 237 years. And most all of you carry that same tool with you. Well, how well you use it, that's up to the individual. That's the brain hazard group sitting on top of your shoulder. One of the things I want you to think about, your college visited this, the whole purpose of the building of this new museum of Americans in wartime, and our whole concept is about us as a people. You look at that Sherman tank that just went by, you look at these Marines, you look at the exhibits, the military vehicles that are out here, I'm going to ask you, use that brain hazard group like that, did those items make history? Yes. Anybody? No, you're absolutely right. They are inanimate objects. What has made history? In World War II, we were still using warfighting tactics based on a bolt-action weapon, just starting to get used to the concept of squad-supporting light machine guns such as the Browning automatic rifle and such. But we're still using the old concept of taking a basic rifle squad of 8 men, like that, with a base of fire, using a BAR and 4 men, and another maneuvering element to take a target. Well, as we got into the Pacific Theater, we very quickly learned that the span of control needed with the technology at the time made it very difficult for a single squad leader to control an entire rifle squad, especially when we ramped up to a full 12 men. So by the end of World War II, we started looking at the concept of how can we better control, utilizing the technology we had. Radios were around, but we didn't have radio contact like we had today with each individual Marine. So we looked at the concept of developing fire teams, the same concept used in military tactics today. A 13-man squad at the time would have a squad leader in charge. That would be subsequently broken down into 3 4-man fire teams, each with a corporal in charge. Each one of those fire teams would have, in fact, a Browning automatic rifle, and by the end of World War II and going into Korea, it would also include predominantly M1 service rifles. Now, instead of a bolt action, even the basic service rifle was semi-automatic, gradually increasing the volume of fires that could be put out. We learned more and more during World War II how to properly implement crew-served weapons and support weapons, such as the 30 caliber light machine gun, the flamethrowers you'll see a little bit later on, which are still being used in Korea, and even incorporating armor. And in that concept now, the demonstration you're about to see will be a full rifle squad reinforced with supporting armor and such, going through movement to contact and actually taking a fixed position. First man out. All of you have heard about Marine Force Recon. Well, Force Recon didn't actually come about as an official organization till we got into and through Vietnam. But it was not, so I see, the first time that we had used the concept. During World War II, scout snipers, down at the company level and even the squad level, were being utilized. Oftentimes these scout snipers, like that, were the man on the sharp end, the same job Recon does today. Oftentimes, even though the M1 rifle was out, we're still using a 1903 Springfield. Oftentimes, that 1903 Springfield had been modified with this scope as a sniper rifle. Again, one of the jobs of Recon now is picked up as one of their primary duties. Keep the point of contact, fuck the enemy. Once that's done, the command group comes up, try to get support fire in place. and then move to contact.
Can you see TJ?
Now, many of you have seen, like say the Saw, and like say even the 240 Golf that we have as support machine guns today. What you're seeing out there is a 30 caliber light machine gun. It's a John Browning invention like that. It was new technology after World War I. Like they would use heavy machine guns in fixed position. We very quickly learned mobility was going to be the tactic of the next war. So we developed a machine gun now that was air-cooled, man-portable. These 30 calibers, just like a heavy machine gun today, basically have the gunner, the assistant gunner, and a whole bunch of guys to home battle. First fire team is coming up, taking available cover, holding the support weapons, start laying down suppressing fire as they move close to the enemy. Okay, this first fire team again can be both a base of fire unit when needed be, and immediately convert over to be a maneuvering element when required. Now you'll notice the distinctive uniform. This became the trademark of World War II and carried through to Korea. One of the things of dealing with technology, not all the time does technology work in the way we intended it to. The famous camouflage helmet covers that we're still noted for today, that developed in World War II. Totally ineffective as camouflage. It became the trademark of the Marine Corps. Today, any Japanese soldier is terrified of seeing that camouflage helmet. Once the first fire starts laying down, the rest of the squad come online. Like this, once you're in place, they can lay down heavy fire online using tactics that go all the way back to the American Revolution before. It's now sitting in a situation where that heavy fire Now you hear the communication these rings going back and forth. Verbal communication is paramount. These are a team. The nine individuals that they can talk away and get it. Plan. So notice like this, you got the squad leader in the center of the AO. And next to him is his RPO, his radio operator. During World War II in Korea, FM radios were fairly new. Like that, but it did begin to take place all the way down to the ground level with wide range. Point, he got on the radio, called up for a further tank. So we'll be what the life supply itself to take out. Release the fuse until they can move.
Nice.
And I'm sure he just rang the bell. For these Marines in front of you, all of which are active duty Marines, many of these are veterans of Afghanistan and Iraq. This is kind of a new experience for them, being both educators and experiencing their own history, actually putting boots on the ground representative of the veterans 60 and 70 years ago. It's a new experience because, like the beginning of this morning, we've had to keep a new muscle member. You consider the idea that carrying that M1 is a far cry different from carrying a modern F-16. Using each of the fire teams, the squad leader now is best they can using both hand signals and voice commands to screen fire teams in a leapfrog operation using maneuvering elements like that. Each of the time, the fire team becomes a base of fire once it's in place, and the ship fire become a maneuvering element. Now we've always got two fire teams covering and one fire team moving.
Ending like
like that, DAO is always with us. We'll also see moving up in the center of the line. A piece of technology that's still on payday in World War II, but it will still be applied in Korea. That's the Mark II flamethrower. This was a new design for the end of the war. It is strict in all 50 weapons. It was designed to take out the position of the offense. It was not designed to burn the enemy, but merely to off the target with blades, subduing a bunker or a kid. Still up to the individual to move within range once it's subdued and use grenades and fall arms to take out the target. As the fire team moves forward, they're checking their flank, and if they are possible now, with open field around the bunker, they're looking to envelop the target. Actually, it's training technology never works. The grenades and boom. Like today, there's two different ways. You're not only always seeing something solid to hide behind. If you at least make a view of the enemy, they can become more advanced to move against the target. Now, if you can imagine carrying 4.5 gallons of high-octane gasoline on it, that flamethrower operator wants all the protection he can get moving up. That's the yards of the target to be able to put flame and bring it up. Now to what that grab moves anyway. Once this is done like that, hopefully now, the flame itself sucking the oxygen out of the bunker, at the very least, they've distracted, if not incapacitated, those people that are inside the bunker. It's still up to the fire teams and the rifle squad to move forward and close quarters combat, take out that position.
That's awesome.
Although this technology and the tactics you just saw were something that were implemented during the latter part of World War II and into the Korean War, they continued on. You can imagine today seeing the same operation, these very same Marines conducting this in modern Wartime utilities, M16s, M249s, doing the same operation with the same zeal and the same intestinal fortitude moving against the enemy.
Are they not going in the snow?
As the Marines move through like that, once again, ladies and gentlemen, as we look at these tactics, we look how the technology has affected development of tactical doctrine, like that from standing in human wall against human walls during the American Revolution up to the Civil War, to the expansion of World War I, and still going up straight up the middle against machine guns, into World War II of open field tactics and dealing with jungle warfare, into Afghanistan and Iraq today, where we're dealing both with close quarters combat in built-up areas and dealing in open terrain like we have in many other wars. It's still the Marine behind the trigger, the servicemen of all the branches that is making the history. Each era, like that, they are adapting and learning to best use the technology and the tools they have available. Like that, we may look back on these pieces of equipment, this technology, as being old. In reality, it was the latest technology for the Marines that were using them at the time. But it was only as effective as those Marines learned how to use those tools. It still depended on the intestinal fortitude, the guts of the individual Marines to actually go in and do the job. It's the same for the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, and the Coast Guard. It's the people behind the trigger that makes the difference. A little closing anecdote they'll use as the Marines are wrapping up. I used it this morning, specifically talking about flamethrower operators, and understanding how much the human element made a difference. I had the privilege several years ago to interview a surviving veteran of Iwo Jima. He was part of a flamethrower team, what was known as the blow torch and corkscrew team. This comprised of 2 flamethrower operators and 2 Browning automatic rifles. He had landed on the beach and moved forward. The other flamethrower operator had already charged his tank and was moving to take out an enemy bunker. Unfortunately, a Japanese round went into the first Marine's tank. He didn't blow up like you see in the movie, but he knew he was going to die because the pressure started relieving out of the tank itself. He got engulfed in the vapor cloud. They reached an existence and went up. Well, the Marine I was interviewing said, it scared him to death, and rightly so. He said he was petrified him so bad, he dropped to the ground, he literally urinated himself. And I can understand why. Like that, that's not a user-friendly weapon, especially at fire. That Marine understood, despite the drawbacks of the technology he was having to use, the enemy he was going up against, the importance of saving fellow Marines. The muscle memory and the guts kicked in at that point. He overcame his fear. He said he pulled off his belt, his boot laces, slinging laces, anything he could do to make a rope, to get that flamethrower as far away from him as good. But he still knew he had a mission to accomplish. He drove that flamethrower another 75 yards under enemy fire, got close enough to the Japanese bunker to take it on, put that flamethrower back on his back, moved forward, took out his position, and saved several Marines' lives. And that's what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. It's about the human element. How we as a people are able to learn from, gain knowledge from, and experience standing on the shoulders of these generations. We today are still learning from the previous generations, and we are who we are today thanks to every generation before us. You younger generation standing here in the audience, hope you'll learn from this too. We in this generation are making a lot of mistakes as well as a lot of achievements. And you guys are going to be making the history of the future. You're going to be our future leaders, our future decision makers, and our future military. And if we can make life a little bit better for you, hopefully you'll be making it better for the next generation. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much.
Folks, I'd like you guys to give all of these Marines from the Marine Historical Company a nice round of applause. Fantastic operation. Kenny Tom Williams, thank you so much. Somebody asked me earlier, hey, is there going to be a little bit of shooting later on, maybe? Yeah, there will be.